So 21 Savage and Metro Boomin dropped the long-awaited sequel, Savage Mode 2. Savage Mode is easily one of the most important collaborative projects in trap history. I mean, it's literally 21 Savage teaming up with MetroBoomin, which back in the day, they made so much noise, mostly MetroBoomin collaborating with artists such as Future and Mask Off, and just other trap artists in general. But Savage Mode made a lot of noise thanks to its songs that were hits like X and No Heart. And also, Savage Mode is easily one of the most influential projects. I mean, sort of our introduction mostly to MetroBoomin as a producer, even though he has produced tracks, you know, in the past for Travis Scott and all that stuff. But in this album itself, we get to hear the staple sound of haunting bells, haunting piano, scary, dangerous type of sound that would define MetroBoomin's sound and signature, really. I mean, think about it. There's a lot of people that are aiming for the same haunting bells and all that sort of stuff that MetroBoomin did. He was like a huge pioneer when it came to this, and a master when creating these type of melodies and these type of beats. Spacey, atmospheric, and also pretty haunting, and sort of gave you this danger vibe. Like, for example, Without Warning, the collaborative project with MetroBoomin, 21 Savage, and I believe Offset, made so much noise, and it brought that sound to the next level. So when 21 Savage and MetroBoomin announced there was going to be a sequel, I was actually pretty hyped, even though I wasn't like an enormous fan of Savage Mode, even though I still have respect for the album. I still think the duo 21 Savage and MetroBoomin is a perfect duo. I mean, really, they are just one of the best duos in trap history. When you get to hear the MetroBoomin tag and you get to see 21 Savage in the song, you already know it's going to be a banger, because the haunting bells, I was saying, the haunting atmosphere that it has, the gangster, druggy type of scary lyrics that 21 Savage lays in, his, you know, his flow and all that stuff, you can tell it's going to be a banger. I was also very excited when I got to see the trailer for Savage Mode 2, the Morgan Freeman narrating the trailer and all that stuff. I was very hyped. And I'm just curious, how did they get Morgan Freeman in the trailer, bro? Like, that has to be some budget, man. Or just connections, bro. Because really, getting Morgan Freeman to narrate over a trailer of an album, a 21 Savage MetroBoomin album, which, let me just say, that was quite the rarity to find an actor as talented as Morgan Freeman and as much of a narrator as Morgan Freeman to narrate your trailer of the album. And I gotta say, it was quite surprising, and it gave me even more energy and hype to listen to this album. Well, they finally came. Savage Mode 2 dropped today, Friday, and I gotta say, this is a banger, bro. This is literally a banger. It is everything I was hoping for in Savage Mode 2. So the intro for this album, which is just literally titled Intro, is the perfect beginning. We're getting to hear Morgan Freeman narrate even more, which got me even more hyped. And by the way, he narrates more throughout the album, little bits and pieces throughout the end of the tracks. And yeah, I gotta say, for the intro, it was perfect, because how he built the atmosphere, the melodies that sounded so haunting and scary, matched with the narration, was just perfect. It gave you the sense of atmosphere, of danger, just savage stuff is gonna happen. So the next track, Runnin, which I guess you could say is an actual song, since we get to hear 21 Savage rapping and MetroBoomin with his beat, which I will say, MetroBoomin with the beat in here is just amazing. You know, how to start off like the first track with this female vocal chop and these haunting piano chords playing in the background just builds the whole atmosphere as it was in Savage Mode Part 1. And just 21's flow, it is great. It is really, really good. And the hook as well. When I was listening more to this album, I felt not only the Savage Mode, you know, inspiration there, you know, grabbing a little bit of that sound and putting in this album, I also felt a little bit of I Am Greater Than I Was, a little bit of some tracks in here. I felt, you know, like a resemblance in this track list. I just felt a little bit of the sound and the aesthetic borrowed from there. And expecting from a 21 Savage project and MetroBoomin project as well, I was thinking more of, you know, trap bangers, these scary type of track bangers, these Halloween themed type of track bangers. That was Savage Mode and Without Warning. They delivered that as well in something a bit extra. There's a lot of trap bangers in here, and also one of them that caught my attention was Glock In My Lap, which this one is just a whole vibe. It gives me so much of the trap vibe. It is crazy, really. And this track is produced by Honorable C Mode, obviously MetroBoomin, and Southside, man. Like, it got 3 legendary producers producing a trap banger. It is a guaranteed banger, and 21 Savage does it perfectly on this beat. And what I love from this track as well is that there's some sections in here where you get to hear these weird, dark, like haunting ass strings or violins that play in some random sections in here that gives you even a more like a more dangerous feeling throughout this track. And the 808 is slapping, obviously, you know, coming from Southside, who has one of the best 808 patterns I've ever heard in trap. In the next track, Mr. Right Now, featuring Drake. I'm actually surprised Drake was in this album. I expected something like Future to be in this album since, you know, he appeared in Savage Mode, and X was a huge song. It had like around 400 million streams on Spotify. You know, I'm surprised Drake is in here, but I guess, you know, a lot of people are using a Drake feature because it's gonna make their song blow up either way. But yeah, Mr. Right Now was okay. I could see people viewing this as a bop, you know. I definitely like the 808 patterns in here. It was pretty strong and it felt pretty like Drake type of vibe. I wasn't a huge fan of the melody when 21 Savage was rapping in that sort of melodic flow. I didn't really grasp my attention. I didn't like it that much, and Drake did fine. He didn't do terrible. He just, you know, he did fine. Overall, the song was okay. It wasn't really something I liked that much, but it was fine. So aside of Mr. Right Now, you got tracks like Rest in Peace Love and Said and Done, which are more of this R&B type of slow, soft trap type of vibe. I know it sounds like I'm saying something weird, but yeah, I guess it's like the adjectives I would describe the type of tracks, which, to be honest, I don't mind necessarily. Like those tracks feel like it could have slided in I Am Greater Than I Was, since there were some R&B trap sort of songs in that album. But I kind of feel that the track listing, like including, you know, those R&B tracks, were a bit weird, like for a Savage Mode type of project and a MetroBoomin slash 21 Savage type of project. Because for me, I think it was a bit weird and inappropriate to put it in this album. I mean, if it was like loose singles or, I don't know, included in some other project, I wouldn't necessarily mind. But like the whole Savage Mode feeling, I felt like it should be only like these grimy, dark, dangerous type of aesthetic. I felt that the R&B were weirdly placed in this track list, and I don't think it should have ended with an R&B trap type of song. I gotta say, a track with Young Thug, which is sort of this like slow-paced sort of R&B type of trap joint, was pretty good. Young Thug did a pretty good. Young Thug had a pretty good verse in here, and I know I just said that I didn't like that much of the R&B tracks and it should be placed to a different album or just loose singles, but I gotta say this one felt more appropriate since it felt more luxurious. The beat felt pretty good and nice. Young Thug didn't feel off in this track. He felt very comfortable. He felt like he knew what he was doing. He didn't feel insecure. Sliding is another trap banger with this weird, eerie sort of melody playing that sounds like it was in reverse. And what I like about this track a lot is the transition to the next track, which is Many Men. Like that transition blew me away. It was that great. Like how transition just it was seamlessly. Like I thought it was the same song for 1 second. But just like the beat and all that stuff, the beat transition was very cool. I liked it. And also Many Men is also a banger. Many Men is a very unique song because it gives like this impression that it's going to be very dangerous, but at the same time with the little vocals playing in the background, like with the little female vocals playing in the background, it gives like this chill sort of dangerous vibe, you know, like you're not entirely sure, you're kind of insecure. What I was saying with the female vocals playing in the background mixed with the haunting bells, it gives us sort of like this insecure sort of feeling, and I like that. It feels very experimental. So we get to hear more of Morgan Freeman and Snitches and Rats, the interlude. This guy just gives us straight up lectures and just the definition of what is a snitch and what is a rat, you know, the difference. That a snitch is somebody who trades information for money and sort of the prizes in the end. And a rat is someone just rats them out and just betrays people's trust for really no reward and just for their own self-benefit, I guess you could say. Which I gotta say, Morgan Freeman does a great job just narrating it with like the tension he has. And actually the song Snitches and Rats, you know, featuring Young Nutty was a pretty good song as it continued the theme of that Morgan Freeman was saying about, you know, snitches and all that, snitches trading information for money, rats ratting out people, and as the chorus or the hook section goes, like the 21 Savage had cut the rat's tail or something like that. It was something along those lines. I gotta say it's a pretty good song. I like how Young Nutty added to this track, even though he is 21 Savage cousin apparently. And I gotta say, Young Nutty can deliver some pretty solid verses, and definitely a 21 Savage Young Nutty pair is a pretty good pair as well. The next track, Steppin On, I gotta say was a pretty interesting track, even though I wasn't a huge fan of it. Even though I wasn't a huge fan of Steppin On, I gotta give it credit. I liked the beat a lot. in the whole vibe and aim that 21 Savage and Metro Boomin was trying to execute. The whole aim, the whole vibe, and what 21 Savage and Metro Boomin was trying to execute in this track or aim for. The West Side sort of vibe, you know, with the drums and all that stuff, the horns that were playing in the background. Gotta give them credit for trying something new, even though I wasn't a huge fan of it. Brand New Draco is just definitely a bop. From the weird reverse sort of melody that sounds very spacious, sort of plucky. From 21 Savage's flow, I gotta say it's a banger, bro. It really is a banger. The whole aesthetic and the whole aim is just pretty good. I gotta say it's sort of a trap hardcore banger. Overall, in this album, 21 Savage and MetroBoomin definitely delivered. They delivered a lot more than what I was really anticipating for. You know, the additions of sort of these R&B sort of chill nice songs, which I will say it felt a little bit weird and odd and inappropriate in this track listing, but you know, it's fine. It isn't anything terrible, but it could have been better if it was like released as loose singles or just included in a different project, a different 21 project or something like that. But yeah, I would definitely say that they did not disappoint at all. You know, with the exceptions of those chill R&B songs that I think felt a little bit misplaced in here, except for the one with Young Thug, which I really liked. I gotta say, the whole album was pretty good. They really succeeded bringing back the Savage Mode nostalgia, the Savage Mode sort of dangerous, haunting sort of vibe that also Without Warning brought. I gotta say, they really executed it very, very well on this project. It was really good, you know. I was expecting trap bangers, and I got trap bangers with a little bit of something extra. Lyrically speaking, I kind of already knew what was gonna happen. You know, the gang sort of lyrics that 21 Savage lays in here, the bars that he lays in here, the experience from the hood. As one of the tracks, My Dog talks about him, you know, with his friend, you know, not betraying his friend and all that stuff, feeling a bit insecure, as well as many men, you know, you could hear his insecurity and that he will do anything to survive. And also his critique against snitches and rats and the difference between those two. Metro Boomin with his production was just excellent. It was very well here. It was what I was anticipating, and it sounds very refined. It sounds kind of fresh. You know, there was sort of a difference in here, I will say, even though it still borrows that grimy sound that Savage Mode or Without Warning had. I will say that it expands more in that territory and has sort of this little unique sound. I also like the Morgan Freeman bits a lot. It adds like this sort of cinematic texture to the album. It creates like this, as I was saying, this insecure, this like Without Warning type of vibe in the album. You know, a scary, haunting sort of vibe, which Savage Mode and Without Warning aimed for as well. So whether I give Savage Mode 2, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. This is a pretty decent album. I really liked it, you know. I really like what, you know, 21 Savage and Metro Boomin brought to the table. And yeah, there was a lot of things that were admirable here. The trap bangers were just bangers, really. They were bops. So what did you guys think of this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you like this video, leave a like. And if you want, consider subscribing, turn the notification bell on. And then yeah, stay safe from COVID-19 and peace out, everybody.